Hi everybody, I'm Zach and I like movies, and I'm back again for another entry in my Letterboxd Criterion Challenge for 2024. And today's prompt is number 12, First Films, which is to just watch a directorial debut. And the one I chose has been on my watch list for a good long while. It comes to us from India, out of India from 1955, and it is called PATHER PANCHALI, or otherwise known as Song of the Little Road. And it is the directorial debut of one Satyajit Ray. He is not only one of the most distinguished and respected and influential directors ever to come out of the Indian cinema, but also one of the revered as one of the greats. He's kind of your favorite director's favorite director. He's a big, Wes Anderson really loves him. And of course, the God, Martin Scorsese, is a great fan of his. And he's also something of a blind spot for me. This is only my second film that I've seen from him. The first one I saw was one of his films from like the 60s, called Devi, which absolutely blew me away. I can't recommend that movie hard enough if you haven't seen it. It's stunningly beautiful and so humanely performed, and I was really surprised and so blown away by the spirituality of that film, and it really lit a fire under me. I have to see more of him. But I'm only now getting around to watching what is probably one of his most famous, if not his most famous movie. It is. And this is not only seen as a real turning point film for the history of Indian cinema, but also was the first in what would go on to be his famous Apu trilogy. It was 55 here, you have PATHER PANCHALI. Then in 56, you had Aparajito, also known as The Unvanquished, and 1959's Apur Sansar, which is The World of Apu. Just sort of following this young Apu boy, from childhood into adulthood, kind of like the original Indian Boyhood in a way, right? But yeah, it's and even like the making of this film is fascinating by itself, and it's sort of a miracle we even have these the way these presented the way they are, because the original negatives of the trilogy they were burned in a fire in like 93, but the restoration work that you can watch both on the channel and in the physical Criterion set that they have is masterful. It's absolutely wonderful. And even the making of this film is really fascinating, because from what I understand, directing came a little later to Satyajit, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of these Indian names. I try my best with pronunciations, but Indian ones are not really my forte. But anyway, Rai, he studied painting and graphic design, and which got him a job in advertising in Calcutta. And like a lot of us, a lot of his film education was just kind of watching a lot of movies, and a lot of Western movies, that was coming out. Movies from the West. And he was really fell in love with movies by Ernst Lubitsch, William Wyler, Frank Capra, John Ford, of course, and like a lot of us, he was also drawn in first by the stars, and then sort of became more drawn to the directing side of it and the writing side of it, but it always seemed like just sort of this far off dream to make a film for him. But he actually got to meet a world famous director himself. Before making it big, he met a very beloved French director by the name of Jean Renoir, who was in Calcutta doing location work for a movie he was working on that was set in India called The River. And the agency that he worked at was actually really close to the hotel that Renoir was staying at, and he was pretty free in the evening, so he just sort of went over. He would visit him and introduce him as, I'm a student of cinema. I want to be a director. And they just sort of like struck up a friendship, and they got to talking a lot. And Renoir sort of like gave him the inspiration to just make a film, and he sort of just took it. And it would become PATHER PANCHALI, which was actually based on a book by, I'm looking at the name and I know I can't pronounce this. I apologize in advance. It's in the description, but he decided to adapt this novel, and he also decided to really make it something raw, something very maybe not intentionally amateurish, but definitely like, well, I'm an amateur, and everyone around me can sort of like, it was like a lot of the making of PATHER was kind of just like figuring out how to make a movie while making it. Amateur actors needed a lot of flexibility with like shot on location in rural India, even during the rainy seasons, and inexperienced crew, and of course not a lot of money either. This was basically shot on weekends between his agency job, and not only did this take like 3 years to make, but Ray actually ran out of money during the making of it and got a loan to finish it from the government of West Bengal. And it became such a big movie and a revered movie because to the degree that like the leader of West Bengal and the Prime Minister of India had a private screening of it when it came out, and it's watching it, it's honestly shocking that it is a debut film, because already like it feels like something like the work of a seasoned master, like almost like Ray like just kind of was natural at movie making, because like already there's such a strong attunement to the compassion to the characters and the attention to like the location and the nature, and an attunement to the nature surrounding them. So what it's mainly about is just we're sort of just following this family, this sort of impoverished family living out in this kind of rundown house in rural India, and you sort of like not entirely. They sort of seem disconnected from people in the town, and even sort of close by neighbors. Like the only way to and from it are these like various roads and pathways. And there's so much like feeling in this movie. I think PATHER PANCHALI is the kind of movie that you really remember through the feelings that you get watching it, and you reflecting on it more than any plot. And there is certainly a strong element of like the sort of neo-realist aspects like from like post-war Italian films, because of the amateur, the inexperienced actors. There's a lot of naturalism there, where we're just sort of like watching and following these people live their lives, and it is a movie about life, just sort of seemingly trying to plausibly capture as vast and abstract a concept as life is, and I think it is. There's a lot of primal aspects to living. It's not. There is birth. We see the birth of the young Apu, and we see him grow up with his older sister. His name is Durga. Durga, I believe is how you pronounce that. But there's also their mother, Sarbajaya, and Hari, and the father Harikar, who works as a priest, but he he dreams of being a poet, he dreams of being a playwright, he dreams of like, you know, bringing the family to better means. And there's there's also like the older grandma aunt, it's the mom's aunt, so the mom's aunt, but she's kind of like she doesn't really suffer fools with her. She like really just kind of there's a lot of tension between her and her aunt and her elderly aunt because they're so like she like there's because she feels like she's already at her wit's end, both with her and her kind of her station. There is a lot of compassion for the women in this film, not just for Sarbajaya and Durga, how they feel sort of kind of trapped in their sort of social station as like housewives, you know, like feeling unprepared and unable to really provide better for their children. But she also feels like understandably frustrated with her aunt, who's just like, sort of like she's just a really old lady. She can't really like, you know, contribute that much. She's just all she mostly does is just kind of, I don't want to say loaf around, but that is kind of what she does. And she is kind of a backsasser too, where she's quite a character. But yeah, we mostly just follow the simple joys of the kids, you know, living in this house and the animals that sort of surround them, you know, the cows and the cats and the dog, and there's you know, these sort of lively frustrations, and there's these it's a movie that doesn't really shy away from, you know, these very these you know, defining moments of, you know, sad, you know, the defining sad moments of life. You know, there's like, you know, hunger, there's fatigue, there's sickness, there's old age, and death is present, like, and little Apu is there kind of witnessing it all. Like, he's not so much like an audience avatar, but he is like kind of the character that witnesses the most. He's mostly a silent kid, and I think the direction on young Apu is really interesting because again, this kid, he has a great face. He's got a great movie face. The way that his eyes just sort of scan his environment and take it in is quite wonderful. And I also really love the environment that he takes in. Like, there's, again, like I said before, there's such an attunement to the nature and the surrounding lyrical beauty of that. I think some of the strongest moments that really stuck with me were these sort of breather montages of seeing, you know, of like watching the rain sprinkle across the waters, or like, you know, just watching moments of rest, moments of like where you could just like, you know, so, you know, just kind of take it in, you know, take it all in, feel the heat of the sun, the ground, the dirt and the rocks underneath your feet. And these moments would be like played with the beautiful score, which was scored by a legendary sitar player, Ravi Shankar. Which, if you have not seen that guy play, holy crap, he's amazing on that thing. And these moments, and again, a lot of the moments where it like really like it feels almost Terrence Malick-y in a way, or at least maybe inspired Terrence Malick, where sort of like it's really captivated with like the nature and isn't afraid to just sort of like linger on shots of the trees and grass. Like, I remember, like, there's a very striking moment where the kids, they're sort of like sitting in they're sort of playing in a field with these tall reeds, and they're like billowing in the wind, and then they stand up because they hear a train, and the way it's shot, you can just make out a train just coming off the top of the screen in the background. It's really beautifully shot, and yeah, I kind of really loved it, and I really cared for this family. I really wanted to see how they would sort of potentially thrive in their own little world. And yeah, it is kind of this really stunning. It is kind of a stunning movie, and I think if you just sort of lay back and let it wash over you, it will really impact you. I don't think I felt quite as strong about it as I did Devi, maybe because I was a little unsure about the first half. This movie is about 2 hours long, and it's certainly, I don't want to say it's poorly paced or anything, but I wasn't exactly sure what I was getting into. I hadn't quite gone on its wavelength and sort of found the rhythms of the natural life of this family that's what this movie is truly about. You know, sort of getting on its own wavelength, so meaning for what it is. So I do think a rewatch is in order for me, but yeah, I really like this. I also honestly really have to watch the whole trilogy now. I'm very impressed by Satyajit Ray's real humanity. I think that is what makes PATHER PANCHALI such a lovely film, is its breathtaking humanity. It's a movie that, again, you really feel. And I think if you just open your heart to it and let it and feel it, you'll understand it. And I think that's it. I think that's kind of the message of this movie. You really need to just feel it out. And I quite like this. I loved it. I really should get that whole box set of the Apu trilogy, and really just more Satyajit Ray. I really need to check more of him out. You can watch this on the channel, and actually you can watch this on YouTube in its entirety. Although I would recommend watching it on the channel. This is not a paid sponsorship, by the way. I recommend watching it on the Criterion channel because that has like some supplemental videos that I think give some insight into, you know, the making of the movie and its impact and Ray's history as a filmmaker, and better grasp of his impact and his influence, and yeah, highly recommend this. Thought it was great. Yeah, thought it was great. Another really good one. And yeah, that's it for this video. I have like five more of these movies to watch left, and I really feel like I should have been done a little sooner. But yeah, I'm really glad I got to do this. Really glad I got to see some of these movies. Yeah, that's gonna be it. And I'll see you all next time. My name is Zach. I like movies. I have a lot more movies to watch. Certainly a lot more Satyajit Ray movies to watch. And I hope you watch movies too. I hope you check out PATHER PANCHALI and really any more movies out there that need watching, because cinema's life. And if you're not watching movies, you're not really living. And that'll be it for me. I'm Zach. I'll see you later. You take care of yourselves.